to frame this up for men, imagine in this world, imagine that you get put in jail. And in this jail, 50% of the men are way stronger than you. Okay, you're in jail and you look in here and they're safe. They're stronger than you. Okay, and of that, another percentage want to engage you sexually. And of that, another percentage will do that violently. And you have to live in this jail for the rest of your life. Okay, in a prison, and you could probably fight off half the people. Okay, the other half you couldn't. Of that other half, 20% are violent, and then another 5% are psychopath. And they will, if they want, do what they need. What a high anxiety way to live. Welcome to the feminine world. Hi beloveds, I'm Chris Blackaby from As He Is Ministries, and welcome to Series 2, Session 3 of the Three Strand Cord, the masculine and feminine of God, and the coming Christian Renaissance, or Kingdom Renaissance, I should say. A much better understanding. Christianity has too many descriptions, too many variants, but the kingdom is the kingdom that Jesus brought. And we're looking at how we operate as male and female, or masculine and feminine, inside creation. And we need each other. We're here to protect each other. One's vulnerability is the other one's strength. We are each other's guardians. We must give it freely in valuing what the other one has. The feminine values the masculine. I need that. The masculine values the feminine. I need that. Which army celebrates when the other part of the army fails? What nonsense that is. That's what we're having now. We have a whole media about how women are dumb or men are dumb. Like, it's terrible. That's God working against himself. We're celebrating when the other half of us fails. What a disaster that would be. Let's continue to keep looking at how the masculine and feminine expresses itself inside creation as revealed by scripture, okay, and the pattern that God set up for us. Now, the fall for Eve was relational, okay? She was affected in her highest value, relation and connection. To the woman he said, I will make your pains in childbearing very severe. With painful labor, you'll give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. So children's difficult, and now with a husband it's difficult. He will rule over you is the curse. So submit to one another. Wives submit to husbands isn't rule over you. Submit to one another. We move towards each other. Okay? The husband is the head of the wife, but we must understand that in how Jesus is the head of the church. What does the head mean? To lay your life down, because the kings of this world lord over each other. But at least the highest in the kingdom is a servant, and that the man serves. Masculinity in its true self, free to be itself, is a servant that lays its life down for this generation and the future generations with eternal truth. Okay? So once we see it in terms of heaven, it's a beautiful thing. So the fall for Eve is relational, but the fall for Adam is physical, body. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat food from it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By sweat of your brow, you will eat your food. Okay? So it's physical. It's cursed his body because the man lives in the body, and now we've shifted from God to the tree of knowledge of good and evil, with the devil as our father. Okay? So for women, it affects their highest thing, their expression, and for the male, it damages their expression. And the male can't get on with making a safe place in the world because he's working the ground. And the feminine can't be the spontaneous moment of God because there's pain and suffering in her emotions, in her relationship. And that's over now. Okay? And we can see that, especially, it's very clear for Adam in the masculine there, because by the sweat of his brow, he had to work against the thorns and the thistles. Well, last Adam had thorns and thistles put into his brow. Done. Okay? And the feminine is the same. We have the comforter now. We have the Holy Spirit. And that husband rule over you is done. Paul finished that. This thing that we hate Paul for. How dare he say, women submit to your husbands? okay? He says, submit to one another. Can't rule over each other, okay? This is how wives submit, and this is how husbands submit, by laying down their life. It's the bigger call, okay? And Peter says, honor the feminine, okay, as the weaker, we should say the vulnerable vessel, the vulnerable representation of God, or you won't receive your prayers. That curse is over. A husband doesn't rule over the wife. It's the head, the covering, the protection, okay? Eternal truth. And the woman is the heart and the soul, the immediate truth. We need to enforce that for each other, okay? Men protect and complete women physically, okay? The woman can't protect herself physically from the world and fallen man, okay? And the women protect and complete men emotionally. The man can't protect himself from the emotional world and from fallen women. We protect each other. So we understand masculine protecting the feminine, okay? Physically, we see in the movies, we understand that. But women protect the man. Jeremiah 31:22. How long will you wander, my wayward daughter? For the Lord will cause something to happen. Israel will embrace her God. For the Lord has created a new thing on the earth, a woman encircles a man. For the Lord has created a new thing on the land, a woman shall shelter a man. Okay? The feminine, this is the new thing. It's going to happen. The new thing's going to happen. The feminine protect the masculine. The Old Testament, very masculine era, very dangerous. Male protects feminine. Now we have the new era, the new covenant. Here's an amazing new thing, never seen in Israel before. The feminine will protect the masculine. It's been restored. Adam and Eve in the garden has been restored. We now can complete each other. Curse is over. Not a physical shield, an emotional shield. Ezer, okay? That's how God reveals himself in the feminine. Ezer. She is the completion of his emotions, and he is the completion of her body. Now, we were meant to grow up in Eden, okay, moving towards each other with the pleasure of God on us. Since the fall, that hasn't happened. So once again, please see my message, the still, S-T-I-L-L, still, as in still, not moving, still faced God. And you'll see how we're supposed to grow up with that constant gaze of approval. It's quite an emotional one to watch, so be prepared. It's just on free on YouTube, etc. As a child, you're designed to grow up in Eden under the approval of the Father, constant gaze of approval and love, which sets your system, your brain wires up, the world is safe, I am worthy of being protected, and provision comes to me. Okay, we didn't have that, but Jesus has restored that to us. Provision comes to you, you're worthy of protection, and you are safe. But our brains wire up now, in the earth, two ways. I'm safe, or I'm unsafe. If you have masculine and feminine in the house, in its healed form, which hardly anybody does, okay, you wire up. I'm physically and emotionally safe. And your body wires up to rest and digest. You're safe. But if you don't have the masculine and the feminine, remember the mother wound, I am not inherently lovable, which is shame. And the father wound, I am not safe or capable, which is shame, okay? Then you're unsafe and your brain wires up for vigilance. And you're constantly scanning the horizon, subconsciously, for safety. Why? Because no one's coming to save you because you're not worthy of it. Shame, there's something wrong about you. And so you have to look after yourself, which means, imagine that there could be a bear coming in the room at any time where your immune system turns off. You don't need an immune system right now. Your digestion turns off. You don't need to digest food now. There's pressure on your, that's the feminine, there's pressure on your heart. There's adrenaline and anxiety, okay? And that will stop at some stage. And there's no love or affection because there's no empathy when a bear's coming. You're looking at people's micro expressions and listening to their words. It shuts everything off. It shuts off your masculinity. It shuts off your femininity. You can't rest. You don't go into deep sleep because deep sleep is dangerous. And you can't access the immediate spontaneous word of God because there's no safety, no physical safety masculine, then no feminine. Because you can't hear God because you are attached to the physical world, scanning the horizon, which we call beta wave, okay, looking everywhere. And if you go into peace, and you can now hear the still small voice of God, okay, which is delta wave, brainwave, your brain will say, hang on, why are you going in? Why are you going to the feminine inner world? That's not safe. Go to the outer world where the bear is, and you'll be listening to God, and suddenly you remember that person said that? Oh, it makes me angry. And you're out. Or you make up things. Imagine if this happened. Adrenaline comes, back to adrenal state, back to fight or flight. Safe. This is wise and safe because no one's coming to help you, so you need to be on vigilance your whole life. If we don't get the masculine and feminine, we will always be in a vigilant state, okay? Self-protection, armor flesh. But Christ saves us from this and restores us to God with the constant approval of the Father, okay? And constant supply, El Shaddai. The Father looks at us, He sings over us, He loves us. We're beautiful and perfect and righteous in His sight forever. And we have each other now to bring healing. Adam and Eve restore Adam and Eve. We, male and female, for their sake and for the sake of Christ, let's restore one another and give the safety, physical and emotional, that each other needs. When we don't get these things as children in very broad terms, this safety and this affection, as the male and female perceive it, we go one of two ways, okay? And in very broad brushstrokes. This is a whole field of study, so I'm not going to give it complete justice, but I'm bringing in understanding, okay? The feminine and masculine go different ways. We either fear abandonment or we love, become love addicted. Now the feminine, when it doesn't get the love, the constant connection it desires, it reaches out for constant connection and becomes compulsive, okay? And they love, and they must keep that connection all the time. And these people go into relationships over and over and over again. And the first sign of rejection is third-degree burn pain. It's beyond pain, and then as it comes back, the pain gets worse, okay? And these are girls we see are like they're love addicted. They cannot be without somebody, like serial monogamists. And they love the feeling of being in love, and they're never alone. But they always burn the relationship because of the soul. They keep reaching in, and then it overwhelms the masculine, so he wants to pull out, and then they feel the abandonment, which is pain, so they reach in, okay? This is very common of the fallen feminine, because it didn't receive the love and safety it needed to become fully feminine. And the masculine fears that abandonment, so they abandon love, okay? And they detach from love because the fallen feminine moves in, but the fallen masculine keeps right out, okay? And we say avoid. They avoid relationship. And anytime they move close to somebody, they feel their intimacy, and now they need somebody. And needing somebody is pain. And they don't even know it, and they'll sabotage and get out, and then they're by themselves again. They go, oh, safe, I'm by myself. These two find each other because only the girl reaching in can get through the wall of the person who's staying out. They're in, and they both get what they need. It's fireworks, and then it cannot sustain because the fallen feminine can't give honor because it needs, and the fallen masculine can't give protection because it needs to get away. And this is the disastrous loop we're in. Even more disastrous, whole churches are based on this brokenness. The masculine that needs to avoid, we have whole churches that avoid anything subjective. We do teaching, and our songs are theology. And we're proud of that fact. There's no mystery here. They're avoidant people, damaged masculine, back. No mystery, okay? And then we have churches which are just the feminine. They reach out, reach in, and they show God in their pleading worship, just how dedicated they are. And how could God abandon someone who cries and so dedicated and pleads? How could God abandon this type of person? Because fundamentally, they're abandonable because they were abandoned. And this is a fallen response. None of it's faith. Receive an immortal, eternal word. You are holy and blameless in my sight forever. And I now live in you, and we are one forever. Only salvation fixes this. So in those churches where we have this expression, the fallen masculine that didn't receive the love it needed, or the fallen feminine that didn't receive the love it needed, we have word places. I am safe from those emotions because I understand. We have worship places. God can never abandon someone with a heart like this, okay? These describe our soul and nervous system patterns learned in childhood. But you're an adult. That child that was unsafe has an adult, you, and now has an adult partner, and now has an adult God, unlimited source, and all this can be fixed up. Or a three-strand cord, okay? We have unlimited resource. Fear is the opportunity for perfect love. Masculine fears being mocked. The feminine fears being attacked, okay? The masculine fears connection, the very thing the feminine needs. This is how cruel the tree of knowledge of good and evil is. This is how cruel Satan is. This is how cruel the fall is. The masculine fears the very thing the feminine needs, and he has it, okay? And to stay out is safe. And the feminine wants the very thing the masculine can't give, that constant connection. They fear abandonment. We have the answer for each other. The masculine needs to move towards the feminine out of its inherent worth. And the feminine needs to honor the masculine and give space for that to be. We both create space for one another, okay? We're the opposite. Meet someone at the level of their fear with compassion, feminine, and boundaries, masculine, okay? Or you either become a critic, you stand out and criticize, or you get too involved and you become an enabler. You don't want either of those. Curiosity is the opposite to anxiety and fear. We need to stay curious. When we are like this, we're not trying to defend ourselves. Something's happening and we're in this together. Remember, Adam and Eve were in this together. We fell together. So when something's happening between us, it's like, what is this? We're curious. We go, I see. I see it's our fallen patterns working off each other. Let's fix this now, okay? The masculine can move into the feminine. I'm here, I'm never leaving, no matter the topic. That's the primary need, and then other things can be addressed after that. And the feminine, do you need space for eternal truth, okay? And they're both the things we don't want. The masculine wants to move away by the fallen nature. Well, not the fallen nature. We forego that and we move towards. The feminine wants constant contact, needs it, and are fallen. But you have the Holy Spirit now. You've got another source for a three-strand cord. So you can give space to the masculine because you and God are together. And as we honor each other, move towards each other, which doesn't make sense. It's not fair. We give all to each other, and then we are the three-strand cord. We look like heaven, and God can sit on it. It's the gateway to safety, and that safety is a place that Jesus provides. I can give to the feminine. It doesn't have to be fair or anything, because Jesus makes up the gap, okay? And vice versa. These way of thinking is not who you are. They just describe patterns you've learned, okay? A woman critiquing a man with words makes him powerless and returns him to a childhood state where he was powerless, okay, in the fallen way. And then he makes child-level decisions, okay? A young boy can't handle a woman's emotions, their mum's emotions. It just crushes him. He can't protect his mum. The woman critiquing, using the words, the very thing you need to build him up. If you tear him down, it returns him, okay? A woman, because men have boundaries until they break them, and that's terrible, okay? A woman when angry will hold nothing back in their ferocity. And those words come and come and come, okay? The man cannot and must not respond in kind, because the masculine ferocity is physical, and that will be a crime. But under fear, there's no nuance. We need to abandon this whole system. What I'm talking about, throw it in the bin. Jesus put it in the ground. We're raised and seated in heavenly places. Now, something very important we must understand about the feminine. Can we understand masculine crime? Because masculine crime is out in the world. We see it. Something has changed. We can mark it, and we can associate a penalty according to the crime. But feminine is cruel, no crime. Okay? And females understand this. So one female may say to another, you're going out in that dress. And the other woman's like, what? What do you mean? I don't know. I just said, are you going out in that dress? I just asked a question. Okay. But that was cruel. She's ruined that other lady's night. Cruel, no crime. The same in marriage, okay, or in a partnership. Words are cruel, no crime. No one's going to jail over words. But words affect the man the same way as physicality affects a woman. You may like that or not like that. That's the world trying to work out what's fair. We give her what we have. A feminine has words and acceptance and honor and comfort and emotion and gives, okay? But when a woman doesn't give that, it's not a crime. When a woman violates that and uses that for the negative, it's no crime. The police aren't coming. When the man violates, the masculine has to come in and compartmentalize and put it away. In a marriage, a man brings support and security and finance. And a woman brings comfort and intimacy. In the world, under a divorce, the male can be forced to continue to give that support and security and finance for another 20 years. But the Lord doesn't make the feminine do anything. The feminine doesn't have to bring intimacy and romance. In fact, she doesn't. So you can see in the world, on the tree of knowledge of good and evil, there's no justice. And that's not our problem. That's the world. We're in heaven. We are above the line. Okay? All those stories, they're working down here by the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That all happens down here. We're up here. We're bringing heaven to earth. That's what we're doing. Okay? And we are the answer for each other. This is the three strand cord as we all move towards each other with the unlimited resource of God. Otherwise, it's not fair. Well, it doesn't have to be fair. We've got God. You need to fully show up as yourself without shame. If you're a feminine, be fully feminine. If you're masculine, be fully masculine. And then, being fully yourself, being able to fully express yourself, then you submit that to one another, okay? If you own something, you can give it away. Because I can fully show up as myself, I can then choose to alter that for the needs of my partner and the other, okay? You have what the other needs. Queens don't submit to knights. Don't be a white knight that saves. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a white knight that comes in and saves the woman from her emotions, okay? Queens don't submit to knights. Queens submit to kings. Okay? And kings do what kings do. The man must stay on task, eternally true. The feminine doesn't need to be the most important thing in your world, just the most important person in your world. Because feminine is person, relationship. Young girls move towards people, and young men move towards things, the world. They just need to be the most important person. They don't want to be the most important thing. They can't be that. It's not even their value system. It would destroy them. So queens don't submit to white knights that come in and rescue. They submit to kings. The king is on purpose. The king is governing long term. Right. If you want more feminine, the world's trying to be more feminine now. So they're trying to destroy the masculine. They're picking all the worst things about masculine and saying that's why it should be destroyed. But we're not that. If you want more feminine, you need more masculine, more walls, more structure. And the more certain you are in your absolute truth of what's always true, then the more free you are to have movement and mystery. If you have a femininity deficit, it's because you have a true masculinity deficit. Because the masculine makes room for the feminine, and the masculine celebrates and exists for the feminine. We exist for each other. Now what the feminine brings then returns to the masculine and saves him from being on task all the time. When threatened, women will shame men. It's their power, verbally. And when threatened unsafe, men will physically threaten a woman. This is the fallen state, and that's not us. We don't do these things. We're collaborative, okay? Not competitive or combative. Structures and boundaries lead to greater intimacy. Clear communication and boundaries, like we're married, we don't sleep outside this, that's the rules, leads to greater intimacy and spontaneity. If you schedule your time, then you can be spontaneous. If you schedule your money properly, then you can be free with your money, okay? Structure leads to spontaneity, okay? A healed masculine is the servant space. The church patterns itself after the world. This is disaster, including its ideology and its theology. And they've got all these social constructs of theology. And we're reading the Bible through these anthropological and social and political constructs. That's from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It will only produce death. Let's look at the original plan. Your job, okay, think of it this way. Your job is for God to say to your spouse, well done, good and faithful servant. That's your job. Build them to Christ. That's what Paul says to husbands. Present her washed, blameless. Your job is that your spouse walks in the fullness of stature of Christ and is everything they're called to be. If you undermine that, you're taking from their eternal reward, which is your eternal reward. We exist for each other. We don't exist without each other. Okay? Men does one thing at a time. That's what testosterone does. Understand that. When you take men from that task, it's like unsafe. He wants to bring that task to completion. Okay? If you value that, then you can understand that. Men, okay, I'm a classic. We laugh about it. I cannot multitask. I can only do one thing at a time. I cannot do two. I focus. When women can multitask, they're the whole thing. Men want perfection, women want wholeness. And they can be aware of several things at the same time, engaging them without loss. Okay. Men fear their true feelings and words being used against them and mocked and attacked. So the worst thing you can do is hold a man to account to his words in a way that's attacking. You said, oh, you want to be a good husband? You said you want to be a good husband? Well, a good husband won't do this. Okay? Words are his thing. And you're destroying him in the same way as using your emotions against you. If the masculine uses the feminine's emotion and its desire for relationship and contact against them, it's caustic to each other. But when a man does it, it's a crime. But feminine does it, it's not recognized as a crime by society. But it is by God. And that's who we honor and want to be like him. Reveal his nature to all of earth and all of creation, the multifaceted wisdom of God to all of creation. Okay? Men feel connected in play, women feel safety and connection. And that's, you can see that with children. When a child's there, okay, vasopressin and oxytocin, they all inspire different things. For the woman, it inspires to hold. For the masculine, it desires play. We all lack. We don't have everything. And if you have it fair or unfair, it's not going to work. Jesus is the overpayment. You've got Jesus, the great overpayment. So as we said, being completely loved as you are is the basis of free choice. If the masculine, you want the feminine to have free choice, to choose you freely, you must release her to be who she is. For the feminine, you want to be loved for who you are, for your existence, then you must let the masculine be who he is in that free acceptance, okay? Because only in being who you are and unconditionally love for who you are can you have that free choice to recognize the other. Adam and Eve were given choice. Jesus was given choice, okay? And he has restored us. There is an epidemic of male suicide at the moment. It's beyond numbers. And no one cares. Nothing's being done. But we have the answer. The masculine exists for the feminine, okay? And now you have purpose. The men have no purpose because the feminine of the world has said, we don't want you, we don't need you. In fact, being masculine is inherently poisonous, toxic. Not our problem. We have the answer, okay? The feminine gives honor. So that's the opposite. Men are toxic. You're inherently evil for being feminine. This is reverse sexism, okay? It's just awful. The feminine inspires the masculine. We don't have that in the church because in the man, we don't need to have that in church because we have the feminine to give the masculine purpose. You exist for a code to do good for people, honor's honor, to provide safety for the feminine and for the children who won't even know. That's what the masculine does, will lay its life down. Feminine is the purpose. Masculine exists for the feminine. Let's restore that and give these boys purpose. Patriarchy is a great term. We have to fight well. Let's just use it rightly. At the moment, no one's getting married because men don't want to get married. But it's not that men don't want to get married. Men want to be married. Men fear divorce. They fear the attack. And 80% of divorces are initiated by women right now. And there's no recourse for a man in divorce, as we've seen. But we move towards each other. We honor each other. If it's a place of emotional safety for a man, and a place of physical safety for a woman, then we will have strong marriages. We're in this together, okay? So, to frame this up for men, imagine in this world, imagine that you get put in jail. And in this jail, 50% of the men are way stronger than you, okay? You're in jail and you look in here and they're safe. They're stronger than you, okay? And of that, another percentage want to engage you sexually. And of that, another percentage will do that violently. And you have to live in this jail for the rest of your life. Okay, in a prison, and you could probably fight off half the people, okay? The other half you couldn't. Of that other half, 20% are violent, and then another 5% are psychopath. And they will, if they want, do what they need. What a high anxiety way to live. Welcome to the feminine world. They live in a world where half are physically stronger than them. Of that half, 30% will probably be sexually attracted to them. And of that, maybe 5% will take it by force at any time. That's their world. They can't govern that world. Only men can govern that world. The fact that it exists is the failure of masculinity to govern masculinity and set boundaries. Think about it this way. If I told you, there's a city in America where men damage physically, violently their own wife so much they had to build a house or a building where women could go to be physically safe from their husbands. There's a city in America that's so bad, they built a house for it, a building for it, okay? Then hang on, not only to build one building, they had to build several buildings. And not just one city, every city. That should just shock us to our core. That's a complete failure of the masculine to govern the masculine. That's the feminine plight. Hence the stomach and anxiety, autoimmune, and hence them trying to force peace and force their way in when it should be given to them out of their inherent worth. Nothing says you don't have inherent worth as assault, physical or sexual. Okay. And the same, women, just imagined that at any time you could be punched throughout the day. Small ones, big ones, just physically attacked throughout the day, you had no recourse. Okay. For men, that's what it's like verbally. We've got no recourse. You need to know that. It needs to be as serious to you as physical assault. And that's the truth. That's what it is. And I'm not talking about fairness or unfairness. That's the truth of knowledge of good and evil. I'm talking about what we can be for each other. Masculinity is tension, 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 resolution. And the fallen is nothing, 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 and a violent attack. The feminine, which is constant contact, in the negative, it's constant, 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 constant negative. And the male has no protection from that. And the tension builds and he acts outside into the world, which is physical. That's the fallen state. Let's remove that whole reality from our existence and become like Christ. We are both differently fallible, okay? Just look how things are marketed to women and things are marketed to men. You can see the difference. We have difference in what inspires us, okay? Toxic masculinity is physical and structural coercion, okay? Toxic femininity is relational coercion, manipulation. Toxic masculinity puts things on the outside and separates, where toxic femininity damages inside. It's reputation destruction, okay? It's not physical fighting, it's destroying someone's name. Criticism as a first response to the masculine is death, okay? Coming from the only one that can bring you life, the feminine, okay? Tell them what you want, because men want code. The mystery must solidify at some stage. Don't criticize what you don't want. They can't handle that. We're not built for that. From man to man we are, because man doesn't give it to us, but from the feminine, we can't handle it. Men are not as emotionally aware as women. Women are not as spatially aware as men. We know these things, okay? To say they should know is not fair. We don't have it. But when you have it, you think the others should have it. But we have that for them, and they have that for us, okay? Masculinity tests femininity. Femininity tests masculinity. Okay, the masculine must stay on mission. Okay, as we said before, the feminine must be the most important person, not the most important thing. We are each other's witness. Okay, we are the observer of the other, and that's what makes it special and honored in the way we receive that honor. We put boundaries on each other. Okay, so we can have relationship. We can become like Christ. Masculine going too far masculine isn't like God. Going too far feminine isn't like God. If you want to be always right, then just marry yourself. As I say, then you're the CEO of every department. You don't want to be always right. You want to give of yourself to another. The Three Strand Cord. The masculine sacrifices for the feminine, and the feminine sacrifices for the masculine, because they have unlimited resource from heaven. And this way, we look like the Three Strand Cord that won't be broken. And this is our gift to earth and all creation. Okay, I'll see you in the next session.